I never thought I'd be sitting in my car outside Oakwood Country Club, watching my mother-in-law Diana strut across the parking lot like she owned the place. But here I was, gripping my steering wheel, remembering how different things were just 5 years ago when I first married Michael. Back then, Diana had seemed almost welcoming, if you could call her constant helpful suggestions about my appearance, career, and lifestyle welcoming. Emily, darling, she'd say, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Have you considered a more professional wardrobe? Or, dear, a real estate agent isn't quite what we expected for Michael, but I suppose everyone has to start somewhere. I'd learned to bite my tongue, smile, and nod. After all, Michael had warned me about his mother's particular nature. What he hadn't warned me about was her talent for turning every family gathering into an opportunity to remind everyone of their social status, or in my case, the lack thereof. The annual Mother's Day brunch at Oakwood Country Club was her crown jewel of social events. For the past 4 years, I'd endured it with gritted teeth and forced smiles, watching Diana hold court among her country club friends while making subtle digs about my humble beginnings. This year was supposed to be different. Michael and I had just moved into our new house. Nothing flashy, but a comfortable 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood. We'd been hoping to start a family, and for once, I thought Diana might actually be proud of her son's life choices. I should have known better. Emily, dear. Diana's voice carried across the parking lot as I finally stepped out of my car. She was wearing her signature pearl necklace and a pastel pink suit that probably cost more than my first car. What are you doing here? The question caught me off guard. I'm here for the Mother's Day brunch. I adjusted my navy blue dress, the one I'd specifically bought for occasions like this, hoping it would meet her standards. Diana's perfectly penciled eyebrows arched higher. Oh, sweetheart, she said, loud enough for her friends Mrs. Patterson and Mrs. Miller to hear. Didn't Michael tell you? The club has instituted new membership requirements. We can't just have anyone walking in anymore. My cheeks burned as I noticed several other club members slowing their pace to watch the scene unfold. I don't understand, I said, keeping my voice level. We've been coming to this brunch for 4 years. Yes, well, Diana smoothed her already immaculate hair. Times change. The club board decided we need to maintain certain standards. You understand, don't you? We can't have people who clearly can't afford the membership dues making others uncomfortable. Mrs. Patterson had the decency to look embarrassed, but Mrs. Miller was practically smirking. I could already imagine the gossip spreading through their social circle. Did you hear about Michael's wife? Tried to crash the Mother's Day brunch. I see, I said quietly, my hand tightening around my purse strap. And did Michael know about this? Diana waved her hand dismissively. I'm sure he meant to tell you, dear. He's been so busy lately, and really, it's better this way. You never quite fit in here. The words hit like a physical blow. 5 years of snide comments and backhanded compliments culminated in this moment of pure, unadulterated humiliation. I thought about the small real estate agency I'd built from scratch, the long hours I'd worked while Diana complained that I was neglecting her son, the way Michael and I had saved every penny for our new home while she criticized our lack of ambition. Now don't make a scene, Diana added, noticing my expression. It's embarrassing enough that you showed up uninvited. We don't need you embarrassing the family name any further. I took a deep breath, straightened my shoulders, and looked Diana directly in the eyes. You're right about one thing, I said calmly. This is embarrassing, but not for me. Turning on my heel, I walked back to my car with my head held high, ignoring the whispers and stares. As I drove away, I could see Diana in my rearview mirror, already regaling her friends with what would undoubtedly become the latest piece of country club gossip. My phone started ringing before I even reached the main road. Michael's name flashed on the screen, but I let it go to voicemail. I needed time to think, to plan. Diana had finally shown her true colors in front of everyone, and maybe it was time I showed mine too. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that while they'd been busy judging my humble career in real estate, I'd been quietly building something much bigger. Those long hours at the office weren't just about selling houses. They were about creating a network, making connections, and waiting for the right opportunity. And 3 months ago, that opportunity had finally presented itself in the form of a very interesting property acquisition. I pulled into our driveway, a small smile playing on my lips as I checked my email. There it was, confirmation from my lawyer that everything was in order. In exactly 1 week, Oakwood Country Club would be holding its annual members' meeting to discuss the club's recent change in ownership. Diana had always said I didn't belong at her precious country club. Soon she learned just how wrong she was. The week following the Mother's Day incident was a symphony of ignored calls and diplomatic responses. Michael was furious when he heard what his mother had done, but I managed to calm him down before he could confront her. She went too far this time, he fumed, pacing our living room. I can't believe she would humiliate you like that in front of everyone. I'm going to call her right now and... No, I said, catching his hand as he reached for his phone. Let me handle this my way. He looked at me suspiciously. You're being surprisingly calm about this. Usually when Mom pulls something like this, you're upset for days. I couldn't help but smile. Let's just say I've learned a few things about timing in real estate. Sometimes you have to wait for the perfect moment to make your move. The truth was, I'd been waiting for Diana to show her true colors publicly. All those years of subtle insults and backhanded compliments had been building to this moment. The country club incident wasn't just an embarrassment, it was an opportunity. Diana, predictably, spent the week doing damage control. She told anyone who would listen how I had made such a scene in the parking lot, how she was only trying to protect the club's standards, and how mortified Michael must be to have such a social climbing wife. I let her talk, let her spin her stories. The annual members' meeting was approaching, and I had preparations to make. Mrs. Wilson, my assistant Jessica, poked her head into my office on Thursday afternoon. The paperwork you requested is ready, and Mr. Harrison from the club's board called again. He seems quite anxious about meeting the new owner before the announcement. Tell him everything will be revealed at the meeting, I replied, reviewing the documents on my desk. And Jessica? Make sure my name stays off all the preliminary paperwork. We wouldn't want to spoil the surprise. The acquisition had been surprisingly simple in the end. Oakwood Country Club had been struggling financially for years, something Diana and her friends didn't know because the board had kept it quiet. When I discovered this through one of my real estate connections, I created a holding company and made an offer they couldn't refuse. The night before the members' meeting, Michael finally caught on that something was happening. Emily, he said slowly, watching me lay out my outfit for the next day. A crisp white blazer and tailored black pants that practically screamed executive. Why do you have an invitation to the members' meeting? I thought Mom got us banned. I handed him the formal envelope. Read it carefully. His eyes widened as he scanned the letter. This isn't just an invitation. This is, Emily, are you? Remember last year when Diana said I should aim higher than just selling houses? I asked, unable to keep the smile off my face. Well, I took her advice. I aimed for the whole country club. The next morning, I arrived at Oakwood early. The parking lot was already filling up with luxury cars as members arrived for the meeting. I spotted Diana's Mercedes in her usual spot, front row, right next to the entrance, where everyone could see it. I parked my car in the spot marked Owners Reserved, switched off the engine, and took a deep breath. Through the windshield, I could see Diana standing with her usual group of friends, probably sharing her latest theory about why the club had called this emergency meeting. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Everything's ready. Board members are all in place. Time to make your entrance, boss. Walking through those front doors felt different this time. The staff who had always treated me with polite indifference now stood at attention, offering genuine smiles and respectful nods. They'd been briefed yesterday about the ownership change, and I'd already approved raises for all of them. Emily? Diana's voice cut through the lobby like a knife. What are you doing here? I thought I made it clear. Good morning, Diana, I said pleasantly, continuing toward the main hall. Lovely day for a members' meeting, isn't it? She hurried after me, her heels clicking on the marble floor. This is a private meeting for club members only. You need to leave before you embarrass yourself again. Oh, I don't think that will be necessary, I replied, pushing open the double doors to the main hall. After all, I called this meeting. The room was packed. Every member of the club was there, along with the entire board of directors. All eyes turned to us as we entered, Diana, red-faced and flustered, and me, calm and collected. Security, Diana called out, her voice shrill. This woman is trespassing. The security guard stepped forward, but instead of escorting me out, he smiled and said, Good morning, Mrs. Wilson. The board is ready whenever you are. Diana's face went from red to white in an instant. What's going on here? I checked my watch, right on schedule. The big reveal was moments away, and years of Diana's condescension were about to come full circle. As I walked toward the podium, I couldn't help but think that some lessons in humility are best learned in public. The board chairman, Mr. Harrison, cleared his throat and addressed the packed room. Ladies and gentlemen, we've called this emergency meeting to announce some significant changes at Oakwood Country Club. As many of you know, ownership of the club has recently changed hands. Today, we'd like to introduce you to our new owner. Diana was still standing near the door, her perfectly manicured hand clutching her pearl necklace. I could practically see the wheels turning in her head as she tried to figure out who among her social circle had bought her beloved club. Please welcome, Mr. Harrison continued, Mrs. Emily Wilson. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, like a wave, whispers swept through the room. I stepped up to the podium, enjoying the look of absolute shock on Diana's face. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, I said, my voice clear and confident. As your new owner, I want to assure everyone that Oakwood's tradition of excellence will continue. However, there will be some changes to club policies, particularly regarding membership requirements. Mrs. Patterson's hand shot up. What kind of changes? I smiled. For starters, we'll be ending the practice of discriminating against members based on perceived wealth or social status. Oakwood will now judge its members by their character, not their bank accounts. Diana finally found her voice. This is ridiculous, she sputtered, stepping forward. You can't possibly own the club. You're just a real estate agent. Actually, mother dear, Michael's voice came from the back of the room as he walked in. Emily owns one of the largest real estate investment firms in the state. She's been buying and developing properties for years while you were busy judging her career choice. I nodded. That's right, and when I heard Oakwood was struggling financially, I saw an opportunity to save this historic club and perhaps teach a valuable lesson about judging people without knowing their true worth. The color drained from Diana's face as the implications sank in. All those years of condescension, the subtle digs about my career, the public humiliation at the Mother's Day brunch, and all along, I'd been more successful than she could have imagined. I expect my invitation to next year's Mother's Day brunch won't get lost in the mail. I added just loud enough for everyone to hear. The laughter that rippled through the room was the final straw for Diana. She turned and fled, her designer heels echoing on the marble floor. Mrs. Miller made to follow her, but Mrs. Patterson grabbed her arm and shook her head. After the meeting, members crowded around to introduce themselves, properly this time. Many apologized for their previous behavior, while others praised the changes I proposed for the club. Michael stood by my side, beaming with pride. You know, he whispered in my ear, I've never seen Mom run that fast in heels. Later that evening, as Michael and I sat in our backyard enjoying a quiet dinner, the calls and messages started pouring in. Diana had apparently recovered enough to start a campaign of damage control. Mom wants to know if you'll meet her for lunch tomorrow, Michael said, checking his phone. She says she needs to clear the air about some misunderstandings. I took a sip of wine. Tell her I'll be happy to meet her, at the club, of course. I believe there's a lovely table with my name on it now. The next day, Diana arrived at the club 15 minutes early, looking as polished as ever but noticeably subdued. She found me already seated at the best table in the dining room, the one she used to reserve for herself. Emily, she said stiffly, sitting down. I suppose I owe you an apology. Do you? I asked mildly. For which part? The years of condescension, the public humiliation, or just for getting caught being cruel? She had the grace to look ashamed. I may have misjudged you. May have. Diana sighed, her carefully maintained facade cracking slightly. I was wrong, okay. I was wrong about you, about your career, about everything. And I'm sorry. I studied her face, seeing real humility there for the first time in 5 years. Apology accepted, I said finally, on one condition. What's that? Next Mother's Day brunch, you'll be my guest, not the other way around. As I watched my mother-in-law process this reversal of roles, I couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above and showing people exactly who you've been all along. And if that lesson comes with ownership of their precious country club, well, that's just the cherry on top.